Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. However, you sound quite dragged out here, TJ. You having a long day?
Well, not particularly. Today hasn't been long, but I don't know. I'm sure you saw the title that I put for today's episode with the idiots of one, and it's just been weighing on me today. It is just, we say it all the time how things just weren't supposed to be like this, and I don't know what got me thinking about it, but we'll have a clip later with Trump talking about alligator Alcatraz and everything. But I saw this. I did this video talking about Robert E. Lee or Confederate statues or something.
Mhm.
And someone was arguing with me about the historicity of my claim that Robert E. Lee went to court twice to try to keep his slaves longer than he was legally allowed to after he was left them in the will by his father-in-law. And his response was, hey, ChatGPT says that's not true. ChatGPT says this happened. And I said, why are you referencing ChatGPT? Like what's so, and so I responded saying what was it? What was the name of his estate? Arlington. It's like the National Arlington Estate of Robert E. Lee says as follows, and I wrote what it says. Like, what do you have to counter that? He goes, oh, okay, I guess you're right. And then I started thinking how often I've been seeing this lately, where I saw another video where people say, well, according to ChatGPT, here are the stats on this. It's like, folks, what is happening? Like, you guys know how to read. You can just find the source yourself. Why are you openly admitting that you're taking the laziest path possible, and maybe you got it right, maybe you didn't, and you're not interested in that? And it's been bugging me because I see it all the time now, and I was like, this does not bode well for the future. I shouldn't be seeing this as much as I am.
Yeah, TJ, first of all, no, they can't read. We know that. What 70% of only 70% of American adults can actually read. So there's that. So there's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B for me here, because I have used ChatGPT quite a lot when it comes to doing research. Now, it's completely stupid to quote ChatGPT as a source. Utterly dumb. It makes you look dumb, and it is a dumb way to do research, because ChatGPT, while it does have a pretty decently high accuracy rate, is wrong all the fucking time. Like, you have to, if you are using it for research purposes, use it as a jumping off point. In the same way that we all learned how to use Wikipedia as a research source by not quoting Wikipedia, but then scrolling down to the little bookmarks at the bottom to see what the source actually was and quoting that. That's how you can effectively use ChatGPT. And I'm going to be honest with you, DJ, it has made a lot of things quicker and easier for me, especially when it comes to easily verified information like dates that shit happened, or did this person ever say this? But yeah, you got to actually click the links that it provides. If you don't click the links and verify that the source is actually saying what ChatGPT says it does, you're going to make yourself look like a dumbass, which, is not a problem for a lot of people in America, I guess. But I do think that it will get better over time, in the same way that like people got better with understanding how to use Wikipedia, at least, in more educated circles. But like, yeah, it's gonna cause a lot of mass hysteria and confusion many times.
That's one of the two examples I wrote down when you said this, because it does remind me of Wikipedia. Because in school, everyone always told us, do not source Wikipedia when you're writing your research papers, and it's for a good reason. And it's not that what you find in Wikipedia is inaccurate. That's not necessarily the case, but Wikipedia changes. So it could say one thing today, another thing tomorrow. But the source you reference does not. And so if someone wants to check and find out what you mean, they're not going to go to a wiki, like something that's built to change and evolve over time, and not be able to verify it. But you also pointed out something I was going to bring up too, is that Wikipedia is like 20 years old. It has an amazing track record. If you read something on Wikipedia, odds are it's correct. I mean, it has a long track record.
Higher odds than ChatGPT.
Like yes. Yeah. If someone says Wikipedia says, it's like, okay, that's most likely accurate. That's like, it's proven itself over time. AI chatbots have not. I'm sorry, they just haven't. They have not reached anywhere near that level. It also reminds me of back when Snopes.com was big. I think Snopes became big in like the early 2010s, maybe something like that. And whenever people libs would bring it up all the time and say, because conservatives are spreading strange conspiracy theories, and they say, well, according to Snopes, that's not true, and the conversations would all go the same way. And the conservatives always say, well, Snopes is just a bunch of liberal bullshit. Why are you trusting them? And I feel like, guys, why are you referencing Snopes? Why are you doing this? Snopes puts their sources to reference the fucking sources. This is like this wouldn't bother me so much if I didn't know damn well that all of these people wrote research papers. Like, you write research papers in high school. Everybody does it. This is not something you have to go to some elite Ivy League college to learn how to do. You were taught this in ninth fucking grade, that here are facts, here is how you find them, here's how you let people know where you found them. And apparently, I don't know the percentage, but a larger portion of the population that I'm comfortable with has not carried this into adulthood, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, it is one of those things where people will often say, oh, you don't learn about this in American public education system. And it's like, no, yes, you actually do. Most people do. It's just you weren't paying fucking attention. Like it is really sad how many times I hear people say things like that. And I'm just like, I learned about that. It was pretty fucking basic. How do people not understand this? Everyone learns about the goddamn Constitution. Everyone learns what the amendments are. We all learn about these things. And admittedly, some people are taught better than others. You don't really know the quality of the education that any individual received. But the fact that we are the richest country on earth and have an education system that regularly pumps out people that don't even know how to fucking write, like, source in research, it's very disappointing. I agree with you there, TJ.
Yeah, right. We're gonna grok is this true ourselves into the pits of hell. Like, that's what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
People, and you're a great point about the education thing, because people love to say this all the time, that I wish they taught me how to balance my bank account in school. They did. They did. Like,
Yep,
they absolutely, they 100% did teach you. They also taught you why the sky is blue. They taught you the earth is round. They taught you about civics. All the shit that you guys complain about not learning in school, they did teach you. You just didn't fucking care. Like, you had, and granted, a lot of this stuff they teach you in school isn't necessary for life. They taught me the Pythagorean theorem. If you're not like a carpenter or a mason, you don't need to know the Pythagorean theorem, but they did teach it to you. Like, the baseline is actually pretty good for setting you up for success in life, but you were a loser back then. It's why you're a fucking loser now. I just, I don't know. I don't have as much hope for the future as I should. And I don't know why I should anymore.
TJ's morphing into Unk mode. Like he's getting older and older, yes, and it's getting more and more pessimistic and curmudgeonly.
I am. It's just legit. I hate to do that, but I mean, like, but everybody says this. You can find like Socrates saying, "Well, the youth today aren't." Following rules. They're not learning anything. But now I'm saying it's true, though. It's true. Like, I have always been a defender of young people, like, my entire life, because I hated when boomers shit on us and told us that, you guys are lazy. Like, no. And I will defend us, but God, but now it's not even just young people. Honestly, it's not. I don't mean to say that it's like young folks doing this, because it is just widespread. Like, people who, I can't speak to how people were taught in high school in 2010. I wasn't there, but people who were taught before that, I know. Like, I know you guys were taught this shit, and you don't know. I'm down. I am kind of down.
Well, there's a lot of things to be down about, and this is our Q&A show. So, of all the things happening right now, if you guys in the comments want to know about any of us, want to know our opinions, make sure to drop us a question. You already mentioned Alligator Alcatraz. We'd love to talk about that. We have the big, beautiful bill passing the Senate. Plenty to talk about there as well. I don't know if you heard, probably not, but here in Philly, we've started a trash strike, which is always exciting. But yeah, and I even have my own little soapbox I wouldn't mind getting on. But what of the things that have gotten you down, is it just that comment, or is there something that has been pushing the agenda a little bit more for you in recent days in terms of things that are getting you down?
Oh, no, that's basically it. But
just that one commenter really pissed you off.
Well, no, it was that comment, and then several videos afterward where people were like, according to ChatGPT, it's like, why would you say that? Why would you? And I keep seeing it. Then I realize how often this has been happening. So yeah, just the underwhelming research skills that people have. And you've seen it with like the conspiracy theories that spread, like no one pays attention to anything in school, and they shit on school, they shit on academia like it's a bad thing. I don't know. It's people. It's like people fought so hard for centuries to allow average people to have a decent education, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people.
This has been a historic battle of humanity that we just recently won, and we can unwin it anytime, TJ.
Yeah, people fucking died so they
Yeah.
could read the Bible in their language, right? I mean, people. This is something like the basic education you get now was reserved for like the 5% for the last 1,000 years or so, and people shit on it. Oh, this is nerd stuff. I don't need this. Well, how do scientists actually know? I love it when they ask, when you tell them the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Well, how do they know that? As if they won't tell you. As if they won't go into excruciating detail telling you exactly how they know that, and they'll believe a 600-year-old conspiracy with no evidence at all. We've lost the stupid people vote. It's gone. Like, the stupid people aren't supporting what we're talking about. They couldn't understand it, and I don't have confidence that they'll ever be able to. But they're not going anywhere, right? They're still voting. They still have. You know what? I gotta stop because I'm creeping slowly into anti-democratic territory here. I have to slow myself down. Right?
It is very hard to not creep into anti-democratic territory. Like I have done that same exact thing where I'm like, fuck no, I'm spreading the wrong propaganda here, because it is one of those things that there is a kernel of truth there, is that people are dumb. You know, people in general across the board are dumb in many different ways. And so the wrong kinds of people often use that as evidence that democracy doesn't work. And to that, I always say, I agree with you that people are dumb, but that doesn't mean democracy doesn't work, because people are dumb across the board. Just because people in general are dumb doesn't mean that the specific autocrats that you're pushing forward to rule society are any less dumb. In the grand scheme of things, the wisdom of the masses tends to be the most correct way to go. Not all the time, but in a process level, that wisdom of the masses pretty much is always successful. And if you want evidence of this, I always point people, go look at professional sports leagues and their drafts. These are the most some of the most highly competitive industries on the planet. We're talking the NFL, we're talking NBA, talking MLB, right? And you look at the success rate of these players. Specifically, I know this very well in the NFL. If you look at, hey, this player got taken higher than expected, it's usually, oftentimes, it tends to be right, more often than not. It tends to be more valuable to take that reach on the player. But if a player gets drafted way later than expected, they're pretty much always going to be worse than they were previously expected to be, because all 32 teams looked at the guy, analyzed the guy, and decided to pass on the guy. And when all 32 teams, with all of their analytics department, all the thousands of people working for them, determine that this guy ain't worth it, there's a good fucking chance he isn't. And we see this time and time and time and time again. So, point here being, don't worry about saying all people are dumb. We can agree that people are dumb, as long as we also agree that the wisdom of the masses, in the grand scheme of things, is going to be more often than a particular autocrat and the hierarchy that they choose.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I also realized I got into my stump speech there, TJ. Well, I realized by the end of it, I stopped talking like I was talking to you. That was more to the audience.
No, well, I mean, but the problem with that is the wisdom of the masses. It's like the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. I mean, I guess, but it just depends on what your definition of justice and right and correct is. Because Hitler easily could have won not easily. There was a 50-50 shot he could have won World War II. The only reason we don't have Nazi rule on planet Earth is because Hitler happened to lose. And in Germany, the masses were like, oh yeah, this is great. I mean, and Germany was the most powerful nation in Europe. And so it's not like it's a guarantee that the right people are going to win, whoever those are. And I don't know if I would say people are dumb on average. because I think on average they're average, right? They kind of have to be, but right. It's like
intelligence is relative, therefore the average person has average intelligence. Is that
yeah,
what you're
right.
telling
Yeah.
me, TJ?
So well, and that but there's just enough dumb people to take the system down easily, and this is where it gets weird for me because like there's some like philosophy on this. I can't remember, ironically, but that it doesn't take evil people to actually destroy a system. It just takes incompetent people who are. You've seen this all the time with your content. People who are convinced they know everything about this, that they are the smartest people in the room, and they'll talk to you. And what's funny is they'll admit, okay, you know more about this than I do, but still, I am going to be belligerent and tell you that you're wrong. I don't know how you work with those folks. I don't know. I don't want to say, well, let's just like not let them participate because they're clearly dragging the rest of us down. It wouldn't take a lot. It only takes 15, 20% of them to wreck the entire thing. So that's what I'm worried about, that, they can just spread this all around. And I think they're clearly winning right now is all I'm saying. They are clearly winning.
Don't worry, TJ. In a couple of generations, we'll be genetically modifying ourselves using cybernetic implants, and dumb people will be a thing of the past. They'll be obsolete. So that's something to look forward to. No horrific things can happen from that. This is our Q&A show, as I mentioned. We do have some questions here, TJ. One very important one from channel regular Colby. He asks, who's our favorite senator who missed a beach vacation this weekend?
Well, that's your favorite senator, John, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, I share his first name, John Fetterman, I believe it's pronounced. And Brandon also he mentioned, can you imagine Fetterman at the beach anyway? As as a follow-up question to Colby's there. That I don't know. I've that got a lot of flack, but I don't know. I would also rather be at the beach if I was John Fetterman. He clearly doesn't want to do his job. I don't want him to do his job either. So he might as well just resign and go on vacation, TJ. What do you think?
John, I was surprised. Yeah, this is great. I was surprised to hear your answer because I kind of had a similar answer. It's like not exactly the same as yours, but I wasn't expecting that because, well, first I wrote down with a question and said, can you imagine Fetterman at the beach? He would scare the children. If I was like a 7-year-old at the best like John Fetterman, I would freak out. Like, what's going on here? But when John Fetterman, for those of you who know what we're talking about, there's this clip of John Fetterman from last night, and the Senate stayed, like 15 hours or something debating this bill and everything. And they talked to John Fetterman. It's like 2 a.m. or something like that. And he's clearly annoyed. And he says, I can't stand this. We've been here for 15 hours debating this bill. I missed the flight for the beach vacation with my family, and I'm hanging out here. We need to wrap this up quick. And of course, that's a bad look, right? You're a fucking senator, okay? You are one of the most powerful people on earth. Sometimes you have to work late at night. But all that aside, as a human being, I get it. You ever been in a long fucking meeting and it just never ends? Mm-hmm. This one actually never did. This meeting went half the day. I would be frustrated. Now, I would not say this in front of a microphone and a camera, but like the emotion, whether I like John Fetterman or not or anything, it's like, yeah, I've been there. I've had that feeling that I wanted to off myself at 90-minute meetings. Okay, this one went on for half the fucking day. I kind of got it. Not excusing Fetterman as a person or as a senator, but the emotion I did understand.
This was one of those things, just like a Rorschach test. It's like, if you like John Fetterman, this isn't going to bother you at all. You might even find it endearing. If you hate John Fetterman, this is going to confirm all the reasons that you hate him. It's really just a much ado about nothing thing. But yeah, the entire the other point I want to make is it would have been easy to tie it to, I've been wanting to just get to the beach while we still have them. While we still have the public services to fund cleaning them up, or stop the climate change that's going to keep them where they are. There were ways to make that point in a way that was a political gotcha, and he did just fail. But anyway, Kyle's asking us, what are these XP markers?
I don't know what that means.
What he's referring to?
Yeah, what is that? I don't know what that means at all.
Kyle, please. I'm worried that now there's something on the broadcast that I'm not seeing.
Zeke says, Kyle, it's about who comments the most, I think. Oh, maybe it's something YouTube does?
Something on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell us how this looks in the comments here, guys. We want to know.
I feel like they should let us know that they're putting stuff on our comments. I mean, God knows what it's saying there. Yeah.
I am seeing, it's got like a little crown. Brendan P has a number 1. Kyle has the number 3. Zeke also has a number 3. I have no idea what these are supposed to be.
I was kind of worried there too. It's like, oh no, what is going across in this podcast?
Oh wait, now Kyle has a number 2 and a number 3. I have no idea. No idea. I like the concept, whatever they're trying to do, but they need to make it more clear.
Yeah, Brandon says YouTube is trying to gamify engagement. Good idea, actually.
Just so you guys know, me and TJ do keep a ranking list of all of our top commenters. So you are being tracked and graded, and we'll let you guys know who the winners are at the end of the year in our yearly recap.
I suggest doing that for the past 2 years, and TJ hasn't won because he didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
No, yeah, I don't want to tell people. Yeah, what were we going to call it? The lefties? I can't remember what we're going to call
it. Something like that.
Yeah. So I do like it, but John wanted to do it for our favorite guest, and I was like, I don't know. I don't. Or you know what? It would be good if we could give like just random categories. That would be good. Like best guest, I wouldn't want to do, but maybe funniest guest or guest with the best backstory. That could be cool. That wouldn't really rank folks. But while we're on the big beautiful bill, I wanted to pull this up, John. I don't know if you saw this, but this involves your second favorite senator. Oh shit! I didn't mean to play the video. But this involves your second favorite senator. And I'll just read what he tweeted here. This is Chuck Schumer. And he wrote, I just forced Republicans to delete the ridiculous bill name. It is no longer named the One Big Beautiful Bill. Nothing about this bill is beautiful. It is a betrayal to American families, and it is undeserving of such a stupid name. John, he's posted about this like 3 times, where he says that, you know what? Folks, I got great news for you. I made the Republicans change the name of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and he's genuinely acting like this is a huge victory for the United States. Had you run across that?
I had not. You're just showing this, just hearing about it now, TJ. And he's become a parody. Like, I don't remember Chuck Schumer being this out of touch. Again, I would never have accused Chuck Schumer of having his finger on the pulse of what America wants, but like, it's comical how dumb that tweet is. Like, it's comical that he believes that changing the name of the bill is something to be bragging about right now. It's like if, like, can you imagine you're rooting for a team, you know, the Eagles or whatever, they go up and they get blown out 52-0 in the Super Bowl. And then the owner comes on the mic the next day and he's like, okay, guys, at a league meeting, we changed the name from blowout to respectable loss. Congratulations. We did it. Everyone cheer me on. Like, it would be so dumb. I just don't understand what his self-awareness is if he thinks that's something to be bragging about. Who gives a flying fuck? What the bill could be called John Cooper sucks big giant donkey dick, and I really wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I'd be much more concerned about what's in the bill than what the name was. But you know what, Chuck? You got our back, showing you care about the issues that really matter to us, normal working class folks.
Yeah, the name of the bill is a joke. It's funny. I was shocked to find out that was the name like a month ago when I saw it, and it's stupid.
I like the name Big Beautiful Bill. I really like that it has the same acronyms as the Build Back Better Act. It's very, very funny to me.
That's it. Yeah, it does. And also, I hated that name too. Build Back Better. I thought it was a shitty name. Yeah, and I remember when it came out, and I was like, what? Why is it called that? And it was apparently some reference to some World War II project or something like that. Tennessee Valley Authority. It's like, okay, great. It's a reference. It still sounds like shit. It's a terrible name. One Big Beautiful Bill sounds like a joke. Sounds like a nickname. And since you brought this up, I decided to start scrolling through the responses here. And the responses are twofold. I'll tell us before I share it that there's 2 types of responses. The first type of response is the response that we have. And the other response is the response from Republicans, which are very different, oddly enough. All right, check it out. So you have nobody really cares about the name while we're under attack. Chuck, it will go down in history as the Big Beautiful Bill. Wow, that was important. I just don't know what to say, except I cannot effing believe you tweeted this. Would you like a medal? A participation trophy? Step down.
Never has would you like a cookie been more appropriate?
Yes. Yeah, and then you have Republican response. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act? What about the Affordable Care Act? Like they're actually playing into Chuck Schumer's game. They're like, well, there's other bills with names that we don't agree with because once again, like Republican, even dumber answer. I didn't expect that. I expect the Republicans to clown on them. Like the first guy's like, we're going to call it that anyway. But other Republicans says, well, you guys had, bills that we didn't agree with. It's like, wow, okay. That's the folks we're dealing with here. Incredible, man.
Just a whole country run by children. My God.
It is.
I hate Chuck Schumer. TJ, we do have a couple questions here. Are you pulling something else up here?
Yeah, go ahead. What's question we got?
I was going to say, so we have a couple related questions because we have we're going to go to this one first because it was earlier. It was from Pedro Pablo Escobar. Hopefully not the same Pablo Escobar that we're all thinking of. But he says, hot take. I will not be voting in 2026 and encourage other Dems not to. The only way Dems will do what we want, is if their power slips, using the wrong spelling of their. TJ, what do you think about that hot take?
That's very dumb. I thought. I
put that in ChatGPT.
I thought that's just very dumb. I mean, I do understand the concept that no one's going to fear you unless they're worried about losing your vote. That part I do get. So if Pablo Escobar's plan here, this is the only way I say to use this. And this is what I said last election too, that if you want the Democrats to do what you want, they need to fear you. Obviously, power is taken, not given. They're not just going to hand this away for free. Is that you should threaten to not vote for them until the election, and the election actually vote for them, of course, because you don't want to actually, hand power over to the Republicans, but you need to make them fear that they're not going to. But I don't know, this guy, if that's your plan, I doubt it. I can get on board with that. But, it's kind of like with Trump and Harris, that people said, that they weren't going to vote for Harris for XYZ reasons, and whatever your reasons were, legitimate or otherwise. I just fail to see how life is going to get better with Republicans nominating more Supreme Court justices. Just that alone, I think is a good enough reason to try to keep Republicans out of power. But that's just, that's my thoughts. What about yours, John?
My thoughts are primaries exist for a reason, folks. The Democrats have this giant security flaw in their Death Star, where if you just primary them and win, you are now the Democrats. Like that's the thing that I always get very confused by with all of this, is that, okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. They're not going to fear you unless you're able to, use your vote as a weapon against them. But it's way easier to directly win a primary challenge than it is to try and play this macro game of unorganized people all withholding their votes so that 2 years later Democrats will remember that you did that. No one's going to fucking remember that you did that 2 years from now or 4 years from now. You're not an organization of people. You aren't actually controlling these votes. Your individual vote doesn't fucking matter. It matters zero to the Democrats. You going out there not voting for them ain't going to show them shit, because it's like the fucking Mad Men meme where he's in the elevator like, I never even thought that you didn't vote for me. Like they're not thinking about you, bro. They do not care. If you want to put the fear of God in them, you primary them. And that does lead us into the next question here. We just saw how effective a primary challenge can be with all of the fucking, not all, but a lot of the establishment Democrats freaking the fuck out because Zoran Mamdani beat Andrew Cuomo in the race. And Zeke says, what are your guys' thoughts on how things come down to Zoran versus Cuomo? There's going to be fuckery, because that is what actually makes them scared, is these primary challenges. Even a threat of a primary terrifies them, let alone a successful one from a self-described socialist. But he won. He's there. And if he wins the general, he will be mayor of New York City. That's gaining power. Not voting for Democrats and ceding power to the Republicans is not gaining power in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. The primary thing is so important too. And this is Mamdani is the exception, that this doesn't usually happen. Like you were mentioning with the primaries, is that leftists have to figure out, I mean, we've had plenty of time, folks, to realize this, that there aren't as many of us as we'd like to think there are. There just aren't. There are. And if I'm wrong about that, if there actually are more leftists than I've seen, we're not showing up to primaries. It's not happening. Yeah. Like we are not in the trenches. We don't this is where the Republicans have figured this out. They honestly figured this out like 40 years ago, and they've been putting in the work this entire time. Republicans show up for assemblymen and alderman meetings. They show up at PTA meetings, school boards, mayors, local elections. They flood them. Like they will be in blocks, and they will vote every time to try to back their insane candidates. We, complain and whine and everything, and don't know anyone in the neighborhood in our community. Is like, well, I volunteered at a soup kitchen. I'm glad. That's very good for you. That's fantastic. But are you going out to primaries and voting for the candidates you want? Not enough of us are. And so, yeah, if you want to change it, that's the case. And what you were talking about was a good point when you said that they're not going to really be thinking, oh, these folks didn't vote for me 2 years ago. And actually, if they are thinking it, they're not going to consider you at all. They're like, okay, well, here's what I'm not going to do. I am not going to do anything to try to appeal to people who don't vote for me in the first place. Like, why would I? I'm going to try to focus on getting people who can. And that's, yeah, it's not a strategy that's proven to be effective in any way.
Yeah. All right. I completely agree. Moving on to our next question, coming from Kyle. He says, anyway, question. What do you think about Hassan Piker's comments that recent Supreme Court rulings mean the right intends either to never worry about elections or never worry Democrats will abuse the power they would have if they took over because they are controlled opposition? Side note, I know you guys are skeptical about controlled opposition. I am not aware of Hassan Piker's specific comments. Are you, TJ? So neither of us can speak to them, but I can answer the question of, do I think Republicans are not worried about a future election? No. I do think that the Republican Party as a whole does intend for there to be elections. I think that Donald Trump is very bullish on the aspect of there not being another election, or at least not one that he has to worry about. But those seem to me very pie in the sky, wishy-washy plans that have no substance, maybe just concepts of a plan that are never actually going to come to fruition. Are there people in the Trump camp that definitely will try to make that happen? Yeah. Do I have confidence that they'll be able to accomplish it? No, I don't have much confidence that the Trump camp's going to be able to do much of anything of permanent consequence. I mean, obviously, permanent consequence in the fact that the things that are done now will have reverberations throughout the rest of time. But this administration has not shown it has the competency in order to just fundamentally crumble our entire democracy. And while that is something that we should be worried about because they will try, I just don't. I'm not that worried about it happening. And I don't think that the Republican Party is acting like they believe it'll happen either. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that from Hassan Piker. I'm actually surprised he said that, honestly, because there's no comments more tiring than you talking about future upcoming elections and someone says, well, if we even have elections, the dumbest fucking shit. It's like,
if an asteroid hits the earth, I don't give a shit. What am I going to do about it, bro? Like, yeah, if we don't have elections, let's go get the guns now, I guess. That's the only what's your fucking plan? Why are you sitting here commenting on my post if that's what you
exactly really if you really think that, then it's a futile activity to even care about political content. Also, listen, we're having elections. Okay. I mean, as soon as much as the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning, we are going to have elections in 2026 and 2028. Folks, Bashar al-Assad held elections, okay? Like Vladimir Putin, even if you want to say the elections are shams, okay, the election's going to happen. There's no chance we're having 0 elections. Like that the revolution, that's like the one thing that could trigger a revolution. Like John was like, oh, we're just not having elections anymore. No, people aren't going to put up with that, not even Americans. But the idea that the elections will be shams because the Republicans will control, like specifically the presidential election. No, that's not going to happen either. Okay. Like people don't realize how decentralized these elections are. That's why whenever folks have these wild conspiracy theories that all these states have been taken over, the voting machines and the counting, elections have been stolen, but we know how it happened. And it was never that there was some cabal controlling all the states. Like in 2000, when the election was stolen, we know what happened. That it was a close count, and the Supreme Court said, okay, we'll take it from here. Georgia goes to the Republicans. That's not the election tampering that people are talking about, where Elon Musk is changing votes all across the country, like insanity. And Kyle mentioned the controlled opposition thing. I don't know what you are referencing about the controlled opposition, or what we said, because I don't believe that Democrats lose on purpose. I don't think that because there's not really much in it for them to not get elected. Everything that you can gain as a politician with influence, with power, with fundraising, it all increases with you in office, not out of office. Now, I will say that I don't know if John is on this too. I'd imagine so. That controlled opposition, in fact, that the Democrats actually have a limit to what they want to accomplish, and that doesn't involve. There's always, what is it, like the rotating villain? That does seem suspicious, that you always have like a Joe Lieberman or a Joe Manchin or a Kirsten Sinema. Like someone is going to be the sacrificial lamb saying, I'm the one standing up against raising the minimum wage, when really it's probably 10 or 12 Democrats. Yeah, I think that's probably a thing, but I don't think Democrats lose on purpose. But I do think that they stifle progressive policy on purpose. What do you think, John?
Yeah, so it depends on how you view controlled opposition.
Mhm.
Because if you were to look at it from the stance of, oh, the Democratic Party doesn't actually want to institute progressive change, and they will fight tooth and nail in order to retain the status quo of, capitalist control of interests in America, 1,000%. I'm going to agree with you there. If your argument is they lose on purpose, I think that's dumb. I think that's grossly mischaracterizing the incentives at play for each individual Democrat and the Democrat Party at large. I do think that they want to win, and they do want to retain power, at least over the Republicans, right? Like, I think that's kind of silly. And I think that to broaden the scope of this, TJ, this is something that I've been trying to make into a nice little pithy thing that I have not been able to yet. But we're going to get there eventually. We'll workshop this on this show. But I feel like one of the big problems with, humanity in general, political discourse in particular, is that we have this tendency to personify groups of people as if they are individual characters in a story. We do this with countries all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, Britain did this in World War II. It's like, no, there was a very long sequence of events full of thousands of people that made the government of Britain arrive at this conclusion, right? It is never as simple as country did this. Or you see it in so much of the discourse around Zionism. You'll see, because I put this thing out, I was like, hey, if Jews and Arabs are all equal in Israel and all, why does Israel need to be, a Jewish state? And people are like, oh, well, Arabs have done this throughout history and Jews have done this. I'm like, those are entirely separate people. The fucking Arabs living in the 7th century have nothing to fucking do with the human beings who are alive today. It's insane. And we do this also, I feel like, especially on the left here. I think we're fallible with this as well, with like America being an imperialist state. And I feel like the lens through which the people on the left traditionally viewed controlled opposition is, oh, America is this imperialist capitalist nation that wants to do X, Y, and Z, and the Democrats are the controlled opposition where they let the Republicans go do the evil shit, and their job is to make you think that someone is fighting against them. And I think that's like such an overly simplistic way of viewing something that is clearly the result of thousands of people making individual decisions that all influence each other. Like, think about your fucking company, wherever you work, and how even the large-scale decisions that get made are typically influenced by quite a few people having individual conversations at the company and arriving at this conclusion together. And while the news report might say your company decided to lay off 70 people, it's going to actually have a very complicated route to getting to that decision with a bunch of different individuals acting on different incentive structures. And to ever say the Democrats' only job is to make you think that they're fighting against the Republicans, so you just let them do what they want, I think it's just kind of an overly simplistic way of viewing very complex factors.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot more complicated than we always make it out to be. And the leftists do fall into that too, where you're talking about America being this imperialist country, because I mean, I know that it's not as common as Republicans pretend it is, where America bad is a philosophy that some people hold. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, there's nothing that's 100% bad, nothing 100% good. So yeah, what's wrong with that?
We got a great comment from the Conservatory of the Ozarks. She says, I think I've been consuming too much of your content because my baby has become obsessed with your show. And he is very excited to hear you talking when I turned it on just now. Well, whatever your baby's name is, hello. Welcome.
Yeah. Look at that.
Once the screen turns off, we're still here. You just don't understand that because you don't have object permanence.
That is great. I'm the youngest fan of the left wing. I love that. That is good. We're getting our hooks into the children of the future. I love it so much. That's fantastic. Oh man. Oh, okay. I know we got a question. John, I got to show you something. There's something that I pulled up. Yeah, I wanted to get this into the show, man, because those great comments, guys. Thanks. It was appreciated. It was
great
really
comments. This is our Q&A show, so keep them coming.
Not mad. I wanted to talk a little bit about Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Have you seen what's been going on there? Where Elon is mad about the bill again. He says it is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we're going to live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that cares about the people. I did a video talking about this, how this is like the dumb guy's version of smart politics, where he says that if only we had one big party that would envelop everyone, and the middle agrees, and the extremists are holding us back. And so that's pretty funny. But what I wanted to show was Donald Trump responding to Elon Musk criticizing him. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I love this. All right, here we go.
The rest. We got a lot of hostages back, but we're going to talk about that. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out.
Okay. First off, I fucking hate so much that Trump is funny. I say it all the time. If this would be a lot easier, Trump wasn't so goddamn funny. And him saying, first off, him saying we should send Doge to Elon and maybe he could be eaten by his own monster. Hilarious. And then we have electric cars, gas-powered cars, hybrids, and maybe even a hydrogen car. But there's one problem with that. Like, those cars explode. So maybe I'll give it to you, Peter. Come on. Hilarious. Like, if you don't think that's funny, you're just a hater. You're a liar. I'm a hater too, but I can admit it's funny. Go ahead, John.
No, he's funny. He's personable. Like, this is why he works. You're sitting there watching him and you're like, he really just seems like he's talking off the cuff because he is. That is legitimately who he is deep down. When he's hanging out with like his family and friends at Thanksgiving dinner, he talks exactly that way, and it fucking kills. So that it is exactly what his appeal is. Real quick question here, two quick questions. One, do you know why the fuck there have been so many impromptu press conferences while Trump is standing outside of what seems to be a running helicopter? Like, is this something that like has always happened, or is this just something I'm noticing because I'm just seeing more press clips?
This is Trump's first term. He always did this. He always did press interviews outside of planes, outside of helicopters, middle of airports, just the roaring background noise. And it's so annoying, but he does it so much you can't get around it. And I don't know why. My guess, because like your conspiracy theorists would say, oh, he's using the background noise, so you can't exactly hear what he's saying. But why would Trump care about that? Trump says like the most insane stuff ever recorded every other day. I think he just can't help himself that when he steps off the plane or he steps off the chopper and there's news reports, like, okay, let's go. Let's fucking do this. I think that's really it.
That was my answer too, is that it's not so much that Trump is doing this. It's that in like the White House press, like if you're having like an official press event with Donald Trump, there's handlers there. There's, a press secretary. There's people to get in between you and unfiltered Donald Trump. If the reporter just sits out there in front of the plane, Donald Trump he's not going to be able to resist. He's going to get there on a hot mic, and you're going to get wild clips, and you're going to get clicks on your soundbite. You're going to get a report. So I do think that's probably the reason why we see it so much with Trump. I'm glad we're thinking the same thing there. Follow-up question. Have you noticed he's wearing the hats more?
I've been noticing more. The hats were kind of like always a thing with him. I didn't notice he was wearing it any more than usual.
He definitely did not wear the hats as often in term number one. Like, not even fucking close. And he's like, even throughout the course of this term number two, I have noticed him wearing more hats, different kinds of hats, and have them on more often. What I'm trying to figure out, it's one of two things. Either A, he just sees the hat as an extension of himself at this point. Like, he's like, this is just part of my personal brand as much as like fucking gold embevelances, red hats are part of my brand, and I'm going to wear them all the time. Or B, he's getting a little self-conscious about the hair, TJ. I think keeping that hairstyle, it's getting progressively harder and harder, and the hat's a nice, easy solution. I know this. This is what I do when I don't want to do my hair. I just put a fucking hat on. So like I imagine that might be coming into play. I don't know.
Yeah, it could. I see. My guess would have been your first one. That I have noticed the variety of hats. In 2016, Trump, he would have worn the regular MAGA hat and everything, but now he has several hats. He has the Trump 45-47 hat. He's got the occasional blue, gold, or black MAGA hat. He also has the Trump 2028 hat. So I think, okay, well, maybe he's, and look, it's incredible how accepted this is now. I was thinking this a couple weeks ago when I saw him. I can't remember where it was, but he was making a speech in the podium, presidential seal, in his blue suit, tie, red baseball cap. It looks like shit. It looks like fucking garbage. And he does it so much that it's just normal. And so I assumed it was like a marketing thing, because like you can be walking by the TV and you see a man, like a big dude in a red, okay, that's the president. And like it is good marketing. I can't imagine replicating it because it looks shitty, but not a bad observation. Like, he is almost 80 years old and his hair isn't getting any thicker, at least. And he's already, kind of bald anyway. He has to comb it over and stuff. And I can imagine the days you don't want to do it, just pop the head on. Just roll with it.
And Brennan makes a great point here to kind of put those two questions together. He says, easier to control the hair system with a hat, especially around the helicopters. I wonder if he's like, this is not going to stay on around the helicopter. I got to put the hat on. That actually does make a hell of a lot of sense.
That's a good point.
We should keep track of this. Like, every time there's a clip of him around a helicopter, is he wearing a hat?
That's good. I love that. And I have one more clip, John. The comments are so great today, but there's a new commercial. This is another thing. If you think the president wearing baseball caps with suits is tawdry and unprofessional and just as an insult if you have respect for the office of the presidency, if you have any at all, the fact that Trump keeps hawking his garbage shit, like during the military parade, they had a commercial for Trump watches. There's yet another one. Have you seen the Trump cologne commercials, John?
I have not.
Breaking news.
This is news. It's funny because Colby commented, John, is there going to be a P.O. box to your wedding registry so we can send some Trump fragrances? And I had no idea what he was referencing. So I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Well, feast your eyes, my friend. Let's go.
Fragrances are here. They make a great Christmas present. I've named them Fight, Fight, Fight because they represent winning. We all want to be winning. We have to win as a nation. We want to win as a family. This fragrance is all about strength and success and confidence for men and for women. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget to grab one for your loved ones too. They'll thank you and they'll even smell good. Enjoy, have fun, keep on winning, and Merry Christmas.
All right, John. I want to remind everyone that it is July 1st. It is July 1st, okay? And twice he mentioned Christmas in that even wished you a Merry Christmas to sell his... It's not surprising, I guess. This is just but like this just seemed like more cheap and low rent than usual. That's just my thoughts on it.
I also love just how little effort he was putting into that promo. Like, you could tell he just got there and like, hey, Don, can you cut this promo for us? And he just gets up there. He's clearly reading off the teleprompter, barely giving it any effort at all. And his fans are still going to eat this shit up. They're still going to go out there and buy this fucking fragrance. Can you imagine, TJ? You like this, that you probably wouldn't be you, but like in general, you show up to like a blind date and they have a smell on them, and you're like, oh, that smells really good. What cologne are you wearing? And just like, oh, it smells like victory, doesn't it? It's like, oh no, oh God, no, I've made such a mistake.
Yeah. So I would love to, first off, like, I can't believe we let this happen. I really can't. I know I keep coming back to this, but this is not legal, right? It is brazenly illegal. Like, and there's a reason for that because, like, sure, I'm sure that there are any number of Trump fans who are loving to buy a pair of his gold shoes, maybe a watch if they can afford it, his cologne, those fucking Trump teddy bears, like whatever it is, the Trump Bibles and stuff. But we all know what this really is, right? It's money laundering. Like we all know this. We all know that this is just ways for foreign oligarchs and billionaires around the world, or even domestic billionaires and stuff, or people who want to help can bribe the president to legally bribe him. There's not going to be a strong market for fight cologne for women. It's just like, this is obviously what it is. And we just let it happen. If we can learn anything from this guy's presidency, is that the rules do not actually matter. And it's hard for me to, like, how mad at Trump can I be if he woke up and realized, oh, actually, you can break the rules and no one will stop you. All right. Yeah, why not? And I hope more people realize this, that a lot of the safeguards we have in place aren't real. They don't exist. And sure, Trump has a big advantage of, being a rich guy and a lot of influence and starting a cult. That's actually the biggest one. But Democrats can do a tenth of that to try to push forward their narrative. And instead, they just sit back and call the refs. They email the mods and like, can you believe this happening? Yeah, we can. And we're not going to do anything about it.
It is very concerning. I don't even really know how to fix the problem. I guess you just have to have an enforcement arm that's outside control of the executive. Because, yeah, like, it's obviously, everyone can tell it's illegal. There's no doubt in my mind that it's illegal for a president to be hawking his own fucking merch. Even if it's just campaign finance, again, the president of the United States, maybe this sounds radical, but really just shouldn't have any sort of private property, like at all whatsoever for the rest of their lives. Like, they should just be a publicly owned and operated individual from there on out. Don't get me wrong. They should be taken lavish care of for the rest of their lives, but they really shouldn't own private property, because that seems to be an obvious inherent conflict of interest to what the position is. And to just be, it's not even, I'm so disappointed in this particular thing. It doesn't fucking matter to me. It's not a big deal that he's going and doing this. It is a big deal that he has all of these money laundering schemes that allow foreign influence and general, corporate influence to bribe him, essentially. But it's really kind of how you open the show, just disappointing that people see the president of the United States in this cheap paid advertising, looks exactly like the commercials that popped on paid programming in the middle of the night when you woke up from, watching whatever show you were watching, you fell asleep to, and they're just hawking these random products. It's the same graphics. It's the same textile. It's the same CTAs. It's the same gimmicks. And it's the president of the goddamn United States. And it's just like, how do you not find this to be tacky as fuck? Like, again, if Bernie Sanders went out and did this, I would also be calling it tacky as fuck. It's insulting. It's embarrassing. And I don't understand how normal people respect this at all whatsoever.
John, that is an excellent point. I got it was like in the recesses of my mind, but you pulled it out right there. It's absolutely true that we all kind of expect people in positions of power to cheat and to break the rules. Like, you wouldn't be there if you weren't the type of person who cut corners and exploited loopholes and everything. But we do expect you to look better when you do it. Peter the Great in Russia broke all types of rules, but he was cool as hell. If you read the shit that Peter the Great did, traveling around in disguise all around Europe to act as a spy to find shipbuilding techniques from, by the way, Peter the Great was like 6'8", like 300 years ago. He was 6'8". I mean, how did you possibly hide from anyone? Like, I was like, oh, who's the giant in town today? Like, he's taller than everyone else in the country by 1.5 feet. I wonder if that's Peter the Great. I don't know. It's just weird that he managed to get away with that. But still, we deserve better than Saul Goodman as president of the United States, right? Like, it's just sad that it's come to that. And when you were talking about how there's no safeguards, that the cavalry ain't coming, and it's not even to the president. Like, for example, Clarence Thomas. Like, Clarence Thomas obviously took bribes
Yeah.
from, I think, and taking bribes. Was it Peter Thiel? I think. Or no, it wasn't Peter Thiel. But I can't remember
With the yacht, I know. I'm pretty sure Peter Thiel had him at his yacht.
Okay, was that him? Okay, it wasn't
I'm
then.
pretty sure it's Peter Thiel. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that, but I think
or some other billionaire or
Uh-huh.
Peter Thiel. They paid for yacht trips for Clarence Thomas. They paid for his mother's house. They sent his kid to a private school. I mean, and obviously bribery, and no one did a thing about it. Nothing. Like, he's not going to be impeached. Impeachment is pretty useless. Did you find it?
Harlan Crow.
Harlan Crow. That's right. Thank you. And so then what was the response to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court drafted these like this professional code of conduct that the Supreme Court justice had to follow. And then when it came for the enforcement mechanism, there wasn't one. There wasn't. It just said, oh, they have to follow this. But if they don't, it doesn't matter. And what you mentioned about punishing Trump, I don't know if you've heard people mention this, where when I first heard it, it's like, okay, that's not a bad comment. That we would say that we kind of, I don't think it's a guarantee, but I wouldn't be shocked if Trump was involved with the sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein, given the fact that they were best friends, they hung out all the time and everything. He's already on the flight records for Epstein. And that's what, then someone brought up, well, wait a minute. If Trump was in the Epstein files, why wouldn't Biden have released them? And I thought, okay, that's not a bad comment, until I remembered, it's like, well, hold on. The Biden administration was really weak on going after Trump in the first place, right? Remember, like Merrick Garland dialed back everything on Trump. Remember, they kept pushing, they had these charges against him and everything, but we're not going to take it to trial because that would seem untoward. He's running for president of the United States. Now that I think about it, no, I don't think they would have pushed balls to the wall to go forward with this, because they didn't want to seem unfair to poor Donnie Trump. So no, that's not sticking with me either. I just think there's no enforcement and no one really seems to care. If they actually did care, Trump would have been in jail years ago, but they really don't.
Yeah. Kyle brings up a very interesting fun fact, which I'm not even going to verify this is true. I'm just going to believe it because it's cool. He says, fun fact, people weren't actually that short back then. I just found out about this. We think that because the smaller armor was never used because it wouldn't fit anyone. That makes a hell of a lot of sense to me, TJ, that we thought people were smaller because we kept finding small armor. But the reason we kept finding small armor is because that's the armor that wasn't used, beaten, and destroyed. And so we just had a lot of leftover intact smaller armor because it was far less commonly used. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it.
I mean, I don't know, like the smaller armor example, like if maybe the armor was shorter than, but people definitely have gotten tall over the years. Like, that's not just like even in the United States. I mean, the last 100 years, people have gotten taller.
People have gotten taller in the United States.
Yeah, better nutrition. Yeah. So
he also says he follows up, but wealthy people even now tend to be taller. Kings are normally about 6 feet tall. That's also why we elect tall people. Tallness is an evolutionary indicator of early childhood nutrition.
Yeah, there you go.
And as a 5'6" man who was a wrestler who fell out of weight as a child, that my brother is like 2 inches taller than me, and he did not wrestle. So can confirm, Kyle, from my anecdotal evidence.
All right,
TJ. Anything else you want to talk about today before we wrap things up here?
Oh boy, I see. What did I have? The Trump one is the alligators, I guess. But alligator Alcatraz is actually a story that kind of snuck up on me. I heard about it, but I didn't look into it all that much. But then it's just it's kind of like, did you ever read Holes? Did you ever read that kid? Or it's kind of like Holes, I guess, except with the desert, it's pythons and snakes or pythons and alligators. And then Trump is saying that, well, if anyone gets out of here, they're just going to be eaten by the wildlife. And the Republicans are selling T-shirts with it and everything. It's just,
it's disgusting.
It really is. It really is.
I just want to reiterate, this is for people who have been convicted of no crime, who at worst have had a misdemeanor, that are clearly nonviolent, not a threat to the public, and their detention is by law required to be non-punitive. Why the fuck are they being put in cages? Why? Why can they not just be in normal fucking hotel rooms? Like, I don't understand why we think this is okay to do to people for overstaying a visa. that you're really going to put them in some place called Alligator fucking Alcatraz in a fucking cage with 50 fucking cots in it where they have to ask to use the bathroom. Like, I just, what the fuck? And you're going to be happy about it's disgusting behavior.
Yeah, ecstatic. Even we don't treat murderers that way, right? Like, we don't put murderers in like this weird situation where it's like, oh, it's Jurassic Park and they got to hang out in here, hope they survive and shit. This is like, but you can't even get people with the, hey, that's kind of fucked up. It's like, no, it's not actually. We want more of this. Like, we want a lot more. It doesn't, I hate to quote Joe Biden here, but like, the soul of the nation is rotten. Like, it really, that people love this shit. They clamor for it. They applaud it. They make merch. It's a fucking joke to them. It's that going back to like, this is beyond stupidity. Like, stupidity doesn't really cover that. It's just like open and active malice toward other human beings, that stuff that we should have evolved past, thousands of years ago, but people are openly celebrating it. So yeah, doomer times, folks. Hopefully it gets better, but I don't know.
I think that I do still believe, and I'm always the more optimistic one, that the average American doesn't actually like this shit. I think that the audience capture of the GOP is what has changed, because we've always had the sadistic fucks who enjoy making people hurt because they don't like whatever group they're in. Those have always existed, but that's always been the fringe. And the audience capture of the GOP has mostly been the old people who pay attention, and then the vast majority of people who don't fucking pay attention. And those people do probably have an innate bias where they see this and they aren't immediately disgusted by it. And there's a problem with that, don't get me wrong. But I don't think those kinds of people actively take pleasure in the concept of putting people in these cages. They just see it and they're like, oh, it's a prison. That's what a prison looks like. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Anyway, what's for brunch? And that's kind of what happens. Would you agree with, do you think I'm being overly rosy-eyed glasses about that? Or do you think the majority of Republicans look at Alligator Alcatraz and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I want?
I don't know if it's a majority of Republicans. I wouldn't be shocked if it was, though. I don't think the majority of people. I think the majority of people would think that's kind of fucked up. But you know what? You know what? It wouldn't matter. Like, let's say in a vacuum, maybe a majority of Republicans wouldn't be for it. The second Donald Trump says he's for it, definitely a majority. Like, definitely. They've shown that every single time on every issue.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps us up here for our Tuesday Q&A. We will be back on Thursday at 6:30 EST with Natalie Bencivenga, special returning guest. TJ, did you have something to add?
I will be traveling on Thursday for 4th of July. I forgot. Yeah.
TJ will be traveling and he will not be here. So it'll just be me and Natalie.
Sorry, folks.
All right. Sounds good. Well, make sure to join us then on Thursday. And until then, see you later.
Catch you later, guys. I appreciate that.